Good morning and welcome, everybody. And if you're new with us today, we're glad you're here. And if you'd like to get a brochure at the back, just talk to Doug, the usher, and he'll get you one. And if you'd like to see the grounds that we have here, we'd be glad to show you around afterwards. But we're going to open today with the choir. The choir's back from their summer recess. Yay! So here we go. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful prayer, a loving heart. So thank you. And once again, thank you for being here. I'd like to thank the people who came early and people in service today. But we're going to invite the children up and sing them out to the cottage for their classes. And at the same time, if you want to wave to the camera and let everybody know online that we're here, we're alive, we're well, we're having fun, and come on in. If you have a phone that may go off during service, if you can silence it, we appreciate that. And also a reminder that we have in the social hall after service, we have the kitchen cookies that prepared a nice snack afterwards, and coffee and tea and so forth. So it's a great way to go meet people and just have conversation. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. And then we're going to move into our announcements now. And I'm going to invite Cher up and then Diana after that. And we have two really important ones for today.
Well, the full moon is this Friday. So we're going to do a full moon paddle. And this is an all-day event that actually will go from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're meeting at the Whiskeytown Beach, not the marina, but the beach. So the beach closes at 9, so we have to be out of the park by 9. And you can join any time during this event. What we're doing is Gary Solberg is going to go early. He's going to try to collect for us the beach area that's right by the rope, because when we are at Whiskeytown Beach, the rope protects the swimmers. Outside the rope to the north is where the kayaks must launch. So we're going to take that beach area there. And there's nice picnic tables, and it's usually a secluded area because everyone else that maybe wants to be by the restrooms. So we're going to do a little hike from 2:30 to 4:30. We went ahead, if you want to join the hike, come early. Be with us to join the hike. It's absolutely beautiful. This is an area that did not burn. So we're hiking along Whiskeytown Creek. And then if you want to come just for the afternoon, the dinner time picnic will be around 5:30, and Reverend Sue's going to do a special autumn equinox ceremony for us right before we launch the kayaks. If you don't have a kayak, no worries. Bring a floating device. There will be time to kayak throughout the day because the hikers will be gone for 2 hours and they're going to leave their kayaks there. And if you have an extra kayak, please bring it for us. Do you want to add anything else? Bring your own picnic. And the dinner time picnic, we are doing, you bring your own picnic, bring your own snacks, and the Bliss team will provide a treat sometime throughout the day. Anything else? I just want to be sure we cover it all. We'll see you on Saturday. And the Friday. We moved it to be on the full moon. This is Friday, this Friday. Thank you, Sue. And also, if you want to get the full itinerary, see me after. I'm right here in front. I'll wait, and I'll send it right to your email. And that's it, right? Okay.
Sure, will there be a Facebook posting as well with all the details? Okay.
Same
So lots of ways to find out, you know. And then Diana Wolfstad's going to come up and talk about the knock event.
Good morning, everyone. The Knock Nourishing Our Community fundraiser is in full swing now for the third Sunday. This is the third Sunday that you have opportunity to bid on 13 events that are being hosted by some amazing community members for you to have fun with. We also, knowing that people don't get into the center every Sunday all the time, but they're coming and going, and some watch from home. So this is for you folks that are watching from home or listening to podcasts. Lori Barnes has added the information regarding the events to our weekly update, which is sent out by email every week as an attachment. You can see the posters there. On our Facebook page, you open it up and you go to Featured This Week, and it's right there. You just click on it, all the posters will appear. The same is with the Facebook group page. You go to the featured section and click on it. She's also put it on our CSLR website. So you go to the calendar page and you scroll down to events, click on that, and there's a little dialogue there, and it says click here. So you click on the word here, and all of the posters just magically appear. So you can sit at the comfort of your home, look at the wonderful activities that are coming up, and we want you to call the office, which there's a phone number there, for your anonymous bidding number. We will give it to you over the phone, and if you want to bid on the event, we will place your name on the next available line on the bidding sheet here at the center. So there's no reason not to participate. Everyone can participate from home or from here. The event has been running for 3 weeks, but there was a request at the leadership meeting that we extend the bidding time. So we are now going to close it 1 week later on October 8th rather than October 1st. But the fun part of it is to get your bidding number now and save your place. And if somebody knocks you off by bidding after you, it's only by $2. So you can watch that sheet and put your name on again. And it becomes a very fun activity. So don't hold off. Sign up. I'll be out there with bid numbers.
So you just sort of elbow your way in and just push people around. But it really is a lot of fun. Highly, highly recommend it. So just a few quick announcements, and just a reminder that it's all in the program that you got when you walked in, and then again, it's all online too. But we have the Awareness Folding Day, one of Steve's favorite things to talk about, and that's this Thursday. So we fold the awareness, and it gets mailed out to everybody who signed up. And then we have the beginning of our annual stewardship program, which is our pledge program, which is another term. And if you've been around the center, you're familiar with how this happens every year. But we're going to start in the next couple of weeks, with that program and get it launched. So just to be aware, you'll probably see something in the mail, and you'll hear some more announcements about that. But the theme this year is going to be Imagine More Than Enough. So it's a theme of abundance for the center, a theme of abundance for your own self and for your family, and a theme of abundance for this community. So you'll hear more about that. We do have the Gong meditation once again coming October 1st, actually, with Joan Richards. We got the Tao of watercolor, cheating the atmosphere and colors of the fall season and landscapes. Perfect time to offer this. It's going to be 2 Wednesdays, October 4th and October 11th, 1 to 4:30, and it's limited to 12 people. So that's with Sherry on Wyndham. And then if you need someone to talk about how exciting Sherry on is and her classes, talk to Cher. Cher did such a wonderful portrait painting for us. It's hanging in our living room. It's so beautiful. And then we have a class with Christy Carr coming up, and you'll hear more about this later, but Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, beginning October 5th. And that's it for the announcements, and I appreciate your patience in listening to that. So I'd like to invite Lori Barnes up to do the reading. Following that, I'll invite the bell 3 times, and I'll do a spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. And then Reverend Sue will be talking about Love Prevails.
I have one of Cher's watercolors too. So the reading starts. We are like the spokes on a wheel, all radiating out from the center. If you define us according to our position on the rim, we seem separate and distinct from one another. But if you define us according to our starting point, our source, the center of the wheel, we are a shared identity. If you dig deep enough into your mind and deep enough into mine, the picture is the same. At the bottom of it all, what we are is love. Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. The only thing that can bring love, joy, peace, and prosperity to the world is a direct experience of the invisible. We must sense the immediate presence of life. With simplicity and directness, we must sense that the Spirit is at the center of our own lives. We must learn to recognize that it is at the center of all people. Earnest Holmes, 365, Science of Mind. Love is the answer. What was the question? John Lennon.
Please join with me in knowing that God is everywhere present. Spirit is everywhere present. Spirit is in this room. And the love that is represented by Spirit and by God is everywhere present. And so I know for each and every one of us here that this love and this Spirit flows through each and every one of us. Flows through us at the deepest level, at the cellular level, and even deeper. And so I know for each of us here that it's everlasting. It prevails no matter what. That the heart of everything is pure love. And so I open my mind or I open my heart to recognize and claim for myself the love does prevail, despite all the outward circumstances, or whether you're aware of it or not, but deep down, love does prevail, and it's ongoing, and it's forever. And so I take great comfort in knowing that this is operating within me and within everyone, that we are children of love, that we are operating at our highest. So I give thanks for this knowing and this understanding, for the teaching, and for a community that supports love, that supports the ongoing support of each other as we grow and we learn and we become the most beautiful people that we can be, always. So giving great thanks and having an open mind for the words of Reverend Sue today, for she is speaking from her heart and speaking from love. So I release these words into law, and together we say, and so it is. Reverend Sue.
Hi, guys. When I get ready in the morning when the choir's here, I have to think about my backside as much as my front side. Hence the scarf. How's it doing back there? Oh, my goodness. I always love it when the choir fills our sanctuary with their energy and their spirit. And Gwen, you do such a good job. An adorable haircut, too, by the way. Very cute. Something kind of funny happened last week at the leadership meeting. I appreciate those of you that stayed afterwards and helped share some ideas. But one of the things I heard was less talk. And I thought, oh, okay, that would be me. And so I tried my best. And what's so funny is it didn't shorten the talk, it just shortened my font. No matter what I did, I couldn't expand it. Usually this fills the page. So I'm going to be like, and then I said, not funny, trying to make change. So I'm going to lose this because it'll bug me the whole time. Yeah, there's more later. Okay, so love prevails. Love prevails. And all month we've had the pleasure of talking about this, and I appreciate Cher being here because she lives this truth. She's always saying, love's all there is. And thank you. You'll have heard that many times from her heart to yours, and helps to resolve so much of the conflict. So I was thinking about also this last week, September 21st was actually the International Peace Day. And for many, many, many years, I used to be, my first active ministry here, my first assignment was to be the peace minister. So every activity I would try to infuse, we did snowshoe for peace, we did kayaking for peace, and hiking for peace. And some of the highlights was celebrating the International Day of Peace. And it was designed by a young man named Jeremy spent a lot of his energy going to the United Nations to make this be a calendared event. And there was a ceasefire whenever this day came along. So there's a lot behind this auspicious day. But as years passed, it was always a very special service. But as years passed, the attendance was dwindling. And then COVID came, so we didn't do it that year, and we didn't do it the next year. And yet it's kind of, Lori and I were talking about this, kind of feels like we're missing something when we're not doing it. No matter who was here, I used to imagine that every seat was filled. And Lori had this beautiful way of reading the names of the countries, and we would just sit there in meditation, and she'd read 10 names, and then we'd all murmur, "May peace prevail, may peace prevail, may peace prevail," all the way through and covering the entire earth. It's just a beautiful recognition of each country and the troubles that some countries have, and just feeling that sense. And then ending it with, "May peace prevail on earth." So I was realizing that love is the same way. Love prevails. Love's prevailing to this very day, everywhere, always present. It hasn't gone anywhere. And I sometimes think that when our world has been overrun by acts of unkindness and feeling that there's just violence out there, and we're trying to find refuge from the craziness out there. So just as peace prevails, know that love prevails, and that's your refuge. That's what you need to know and take away from here. It's always everywhere present. And I sometimes wondered, do we take it for granted? Do we take peace for granted? Do we take love for granted? And so explore your heart space today as we look at some of these ideas that I want to share with you, because we've often used the word love with a capital L to represent what God is to each one of us. And so if God is all there is, then that's why we easily say, then love is all there is. And again, challenging to see when we hear breaking news about violence and war and division, that we continue to have to dig deeper into our spiritual practices. But when we put this love that I talk about into action, I know that we're assured that we'll find our way even in the darkest of times. So let's also think about not taking peace for granted anymore, or love. This beautiful quote from Jack Kornfield in The Act of Forgiveness, and you all remember 9/11. And as the World Trade Center burned, one man slowly lowered a colleague in a wheelchair, one step at a time, down 68 floors. And they got out in time. Another offered wet paper towels as smoke masks to hundreds who descended before him. As office workers poured out, firemen and police rushed in with their brave hearts and great compassion. In every place of suffering around the globe, there are those who have discovered the good heart's capacity to love and who are willing to tend to the sorrows of our world as if they were their own. And that's always so beautiful when you watch some of the news and you see this happening. You see the people outpouring to be of help, to benefit the suffering, and to help bring some healing. And so one of my favorite songs, and I wished I could have had the 360 band back me up on this, but it's "Lean on Me." 1 and a 2 and a 3. I won't put time. Yeah, "Lean on Me." You remember that song? Yeah. You know that song, right? Lean on me. Lean on me. If when I get calls during the week of anybody that's in a troubled place, it's like, lean on me. Lean on me. Our love together will find our way through these troubled times. And that's the invitation here today as you walk out, is to keep leaning into love. Stand by each other as you make your choices in the name of love. And notice when you do that, love always will be winning. It's always unfolding within us and before us, around us and through us. And when we allow love to win, we can feel great about loving what is good about ourselves, to stand proud about who we are in that place of loving. So the Science of Mind says, the world is beginning to realize that it has learned all it should through suffering and pain. Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes us to be sick, suffer pain, be unhappy, or end in oblivion. Surely, if God or universal intelligence is imbued with goodness, then it could not ordain that we should ultimately be other than a perfect expression of life. Take this to the highest knowing. We each are a perfect expression of life, and we speak weekly to this need to shift our thinking away from fear and anger and begin that daily practice, and yes, moment by moment, to choose love as our way. And so further quotes from the Science of Mind textbook, and it's so beautiful because we're looking back when this was written so many, many years ago, and it's still so pertinent to our time today. If we look at love long enough, we shall become lovely. For this is the way of love. God is love. If we gaze longingly at joy, it will make its home within us, and we shall enter its portals and be happy. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on the earth. Nothing can keep us from the love of God. What a comfort, what a joy to know that all is well within your soul. Earnest Holmes, powerfully reminding us to never forget. Now, a group of us have been studying Ken Wilber's work about no boundary. And this last week, the idea that we live in opposites that create boundaries that we think are there. And so boundary lines, though, this is what Ken Wilber brought to my attention, can also be our battle lines, where we draw our line and don't cross it. So a simple way to look at this is to consider where there is an up, there's going to be a down, right? The opposites. A right and a left, an in and an out. The mystery of the truth lies in the space between. It's one of those things that you just kind of go, oh, wow, yeah, past that joint, yeah, that's what it is. So it's like the space between, when the ocean and the shoreline meet. What's that space? What's that space? What's that space that's calling us? And Mark Nepo, he added this to this understanding. He says, so at the deepest level, the most essential level, listening entails a constant effort to feel that moment where everything touches everything else. A constant effort to live below the sheer fact of things. So keep what is before us in the lens of love. We want to manipulate the opposite sometimes for our own comfort zone. And we want to allow the way of seeing things to be, kind of what we want and what we're clinging to come to our side of things. But then when we do that, when we cling so tenaciously to what we think is right, we're suffering. We're suffering the other side of things. So Lao Tzu speaks to this and describes it, and I invite you to stay open this week to kind of see how this riddle translates into your own experience. If there is a difference between is there a difference between yes and no? Is there a difference between good and evil? Must I fear what others fear? What nonsense! Having and not having arise together. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short contrast each other. High and low rest on each other. Front and back follow one another. Thus, those that say they would have right without its correlate wrong, or a good government without its correlate misrule, do not apprehend the great principles of the universe, nor the nature of all creation. One might as well talk of the existence of heaven without that of earth, or the negative principle without the positive, which is clearly impossible. Yet people keep on discussing it without stopping. Such people must be fools or knaves. It is all interdependent, and grace, love, flows through it all. There is a unity of all things. Lao Tzu, and some commentary. So think about this, where you find yourself in the realm of opposites. And then find the comfort of realizing where they meet. Where's the place that they meet? There's a softening there. There's a heart opening there. And so as I was preparing this talk, I turned to Ram Dass, who spoke so much in his lifetime about love. And he was very honest with it. He really allowed himself to be really authentic when his own journey in coming to terms with spiritual life, what he wrestled with. And this bhakti of his, bhakti is a devotional love that he translated into all that he did for the love of his guru, Maharishi. And in one particular section of this book, I'm going to share this story with you about miracles of love. He writes that the various lessons about anger and love that he met, again, opposites, but not. There's one thing I found so incredibly endearing in this reading is the Maharashi's tendency to always offer a cup of milk to soothe the soul. And he often, when there was any kind of interaction or upset, he would tell someone nearby, please go get them a glass of milk now. And I just thought that was so incredibly soothing, because to this day, often there's a lot of people that get up at night, they're upset, and they have a cup of warm milk. So this healing property, recognize now that it's a healing balm. It's a something to help you calm the anger. So think about the times where you might need a cup of milk. Maharishi was also sometimes known to force anger in the surface of his devotees. And so I've watched gurus all my life. I've kept wanting to have my own guru, but I was also very intimidated about these kinds of stories because they test you. They know you're ready for the test, and they test you. And I kept thinking, I don't know if I'm strong enough. I'll probably start whimpering if they just look at me wrong, and they're not even looking at me, they're looking at somebody behind me, but it's my fault. So I kept kind of dancing around this idea of having my own personal guru. So I read these stories with such hunger to know the truth behind. So it's kind of a safe place to understand. And one time there was Ram Dass himself would be subject to some of this behavior from his guru. And he noted that people could misinterpret what the guru was, what he called abuse, was really just to disrupt a certain sense of their behavior, to allow whatever needed to be revealed could be healed. So he was very gifted, Maharishi was, to find these hidden tendencies in people of anger. But always his behavior and his intentions were led by an underlying love and compassion. That's the important thing to remember, that opened the person to a very deep and profound and life-sustaining change and shift. So he was a very mystical saint, and he saw everyone and knew the way to their heart and what they needed to heal and to let go in a lifetime. And he would be honest with them, and it would remind them that the person who is close to him can be scolded, and this would lead them to their personal power, and his love would speak. And he says, only if you are strong enough to hear my abuses can you face the world. He reminded them also that a saint never really truly gets angry. It's impossible for him to get truly angry. So Ram Dass' story, what we focus on, we become. So let us focus on love itself. And Maharishi would remind others of the Kabir wisdom, do what you do with another person, but never put them out of your heart. And that saying pierced Ram Dass, his awareness when he was touched with witnessing his guru's actions against another that appeared out of anger. So he thought, he's full of it. Look what he's done. How dare he do that? But he woke up to always realize that whatever his guru did, whatever the Maharishi did, there was always a profound love behind it. So this particular one I want to briefly share with you is, in particular, one of the devotees wanted the Maharishi to come over to his own home for dinner. And he kept pressing him, I want to come to dinner. I want you to come to my home for dinner. But there was one factor here. His father did not believe in the Maharishi, so he did not want him in his home. But this young devotee was feeling that he had overcome all anger himself, and he had said that his anger is completely gone. So when the Maharishi heard that, he accepted the invitation to come for dinner. So let me pick it up there. Oh, Maharishi, I've overcome anger. And Maharishi said, oh, very good, very good, and kept praising him. And then when he realized that finally he was going to accept this invitation to come for dinner, and knowing that the father did not believe in saints or sadhus, he told the boy, turned to him and said, do you still want me to come over for dinner? And the boy, here it goes, said, yes, but let me arrange it with my father. Maharishi says, go then and we will all come. Well, this visit meant, of course, that the place of honor would be given to the Maharishi, and the father would have to sit someplace else. So the whole party went, and Maharishi sat in the tucket belonging to the boy's father. Maharishi leaned over and looked the father in the eye and said, you're a great saint. But in Hindi, he used the very personal form which you only use to a very intimate friend and to people in the lower caste. So it was really an insult to use that form to the old father. The old man got upset, but he kept himself together. A little time paused. The Maharishi leaned over again and said, oh, you're a great saint. By this time, the father's face got red and he was getting all worked up, but he kept control. A few minutes more, and the Maharishi leaned over. Same thing again. This time, the father completely lost it. He got up, started screaming at the Maharishi. You're no saint. You just come in and eat people's food, take their beds. You're a big phony. At that point, the young fellow, who had overcome all anger, leaped to his feet, grabbed his father by the collar, and started shaking him, saying, shut up. You don't know who you're talking to. He's a great saint. If you don't shut up, I'll kill you. At this point, Maharishi got up, looked around, bewildered, and said, what's the matter? What's the matter? Don't they want me here? We should go. They don't want me here. So he got up, started walking out, and he turned to the young fellow who was going out and said, it's very difficult to overcome anger. Some of the greatest saints don't overcome anger. The fellow said, but Maharishi, he was abusing you. That's right. He was abusing me. Why are you angry? Oh, why are you angry? Now that story can float across you or pierce you deeply. What are you angry with? And where can you bring love into the story? And there's one more a story that I want to share from Mark Nepo to bring this home from another angle here, because there's not much more to say about love prevailing. Marianne Williamson would say, love is where what we are born with, and fear is what we've learned. The spiritual journey is the relinquishment, unlearning of fear, and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. So let's hear what Mark Nepo says in the Book of the Soul. This is his closing chapter, and he says in his own words, "This is my final story, at least for now." A young man determined to find the meaning of life began his walk in the world. At first, he thinks everything he sees holds the secret. He crosses a river and feels certain that life is like the river, washing us against our will into a greater sea. Then he climbs the mountain on the other side of the river and feels certain, oh no, life is like the mountain, bare and moving, and the higher we climb. Then he reached and entered the city. Feels quite certain that life is like a crowd of people, everyone so close, though we know very little about each other. In time, he forgot what he was after, and then he met his teacher, quite unexpectedly. But she knows before he speaks of all he's seen and wondered. She greets him with this question, "And so, do you want to know how this all works? Or would you rather apprentice in your true inheritance?" He doesn't understand all that she says, but her presence makes him stay for several years. After she chops wood, he sharpens the blade. After she empties the water, he goes to fill it. After she talks of the inheritance of being, he asks question after question. And more than finding answers, he grows to love her. This seems to be the answer for everything. Shortly after he grasps this, she dies, as if she were waiting for him to learn how to love before she left. In his grief, he tends her chores for months without her, and then in a dream she whispers, "You must go now and widen your circle." So he leaves and continues his walk in the world, except everything is more colorful. He senses the presence of his teacher everywhere, so he meets everyone with love. He wanders through the cities, listening to strangers. He wanders in the farm country, listening to cows. He wanders in the forest, listening to birds and trees. For all he sought as a young man, he's now finding the same moment, no matter how far he travels. And when that same moment opens, he walks through the moment into the center of all things. All this makes him terribly sensitive to the plight of others. In time, a young man like himself finds him and calls him his teacher. He laughs, never thinking of himself that way, but remembers the goodness of his own teacher. He gently deflects his students' admiration, saying, "We're only helping each other stay awake." And so it goes. I wish this journey for you. I hope that everything in the world will speak to you, the river, the mountains, the city, the forest. And I wish you many teachers who will bring you to yourself. When we lift the pail together, something happens akin to stars sparkling in the night. I have run out of ways to describe the journey. Only know this, that in the place of wings, God gave us love. Isn't that beautiful? And sometimes I think, week after week, as we share and try to go a little bit deeper, scratch the surface of these different profound topics, that what else can we take home? What else is there to say? And always there's a master's words that seem to put the final touch, to cleanse the mirror of your own heart and see God. Even if a person hurts you, give him love. Maharishi says, the worst punishment is to throw someone out of your heart. Love everyone as God and love each other. If you cannot love each other, you cannot achieve this goal. Never hurt another's heart. A saint's heart melts like butter. No, it melts even more than butter. Butter only melts when you put it near fire, but a saint's heart melts when anyone else's heart comes near the fire. Love all, serve all, and keep the truth in your own heart. So with that, I can say a prayer. Every time I speak, the privilege of a master's words, there's a prayer in itself right there. But there is a chant, Ahim Prima, Ahim Prima. And I want to invite you to share in the vibration of that. You're going to have the choir start with me, and that's all you're saying. Ahem, prima. It means divine love. Ahem, prima. But feel it because the sound comes from the heart like a drum beat. Ahem, prima. 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 To a whisper. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. This divine love. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ever flowing. Ahem, prima. Through all the masters, through all the different lineages of teachers and saints. It arrives today in our heart, imprinting Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. As we take our walks in nature, Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. As we listen to one another, we allow that to be the background of our reverent listening, a divine love. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. As we walk in life, Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. Ahem, prima. And then the silence. And then the knowing. Love prevails. Ahem, prima. And so it is. Thank you, choir.
How could anyone
Well, that was beautiful. And I feel the love through the choir's voices and their heart and the beautiful smiles that they have and the intent behind it. So that in itself is the message today for sure. So I invite the ushers forward and think of the collection as a spiritual practice of giving and receiving. And so we know that when we give, we also do receive. And your giving helps support this center and the teaching. And it goes out beyond just this center, but into our community. And so I just know, and I declare that this gift is one from your heart to the heart of this center. And together, and I give great thanks. And so it is. So on behalf of the center, we are so blessed for these wonderful gifts from your heart, whether it be monetary or your gift of service or your undying support for all that we do. It's all greatly appreciated and used wisely. And so we know we're doing great work here as love grows, as love grows, as love grows to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And so with great gratitude, I give thanks. And together we say, and so it is. So to wrap up the service, we're going to have a final song, and then Sue's going to come up and give a few closing remarks. And then enjoy the social hall. Elbow your way into the bidding out there in the foyer. Linda's on the board desk if there's any questions you have or anything you want to sign up for. So it's a good day today. Thank you.
after song, let your voice and voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing after song, sing the hymn, rejoice. A joyful song to the earth and the sky. A joyful song, lift your voices high. Sing a joyful song, sing a hymn of praise. Sing a joyful song, let your voices raise. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing a joyful song, sing a hymn of praise. Sing a joyful song, come rejoice. Sing a joyful song, let your voices raise. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing a joyful song, sing a hymn of praise. Sing a joyful song.
That was good, huh? That was fun. Oh, thank you.
Just say thank you so much. It's such a pleasure singing for you. If any here today have any interest in joining our illustrious and beautiful choir, come talk to me. I'm going to be taking a coffee. Thank you so much. It's
Yeah.
such a pleasure. And we're very friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, put a joyful song. Yeah, that is such a perfect one to end this day and to celebrate throughout the week. And we have the holidays coming up, and even if you would just like to join the choir through the holiday season, say yes and have fun and be a part of the energy. So I appreciate everyone coming today and listening and shifting in their seats. I watch you squirm. No, I watch you open, and that's the beauty of privilege of standing in front of you. So there's something I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was, but if you're new here today and you want to come up and meet, and I'll be love to say hello to you and get to know you, so don't be shy. Just come on up, because by the time I get back there, you're eating in the social hall, and I missed you. So anyway, have a really beautiful day. We've got the bookstore open for you as well. Goodies to eat, friendships to make, and thank you for being here. It makes a difference. Thank you.